Hi everyone, my name is Sam. Today I'm joined by a clinician and expert in infidelity and addiction and trauma. Her name is Amanda. And today I'm going to pick up where I left off, which is discussing behaviors, maybe subconsciously, of the betrayed that can sabotage or undermine their attempts to try and restore the relationship. So today's going to be a great discussion. Amanda and I are standing today because my back is super tight. So we're going to try a little different approach here. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, thank you for being here. You've come in before and spread a wealth of knowledge and insight. Today's kind of like inside trainer information for the unfaithful, because you're going to help us understand what's really going on, but you're also going to help make sense of some things to the betrayed that they might be trying to make sense of in their own head. But before that, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you, your practice, and kind of some background.
Sure. My name is Amanda Asproni, and I'm a clinician, a clinical mental health counselor. I actually started working with Rick Reynolds about 13 years ago. I came in as a betrayed spouse with complex PTSD and developmental trauma.
So you've been through it, basically.
Yes.
I think some people, if they were to hear your story, would be like, whoa, that's more than what I'm dealing with. So we're going to get right into it and jumpstart it. So we, the unfaithful, oftentimes feel like you guys, the betrayed, are intentionally trying to wound us, shame us, attack us. And you and I had a very pointed conversation off camera that you were like, look, a lot of times the betrayed is unintentionally doing this, but we don't believe that. We're convinced you guys are trying to do some of the things that you do. So explain to us, and obviously to the betrayed, make sense of why some things might actually be unintentional.
Right. So imagine how we feel as the betrayed. So when we have a trigger, if we feel shame or we have a reminder and then we start to rage or we start to marathon, your assumption is that we are what? Trying to make your lives miserable. We're trying to stick it to you. We're trying to rub it in.
Yes.
But I mean, we're flooding. We're upset because we just had a reminder or a trigger that we weren't enough. You didn't like us, all the litany of reasons that we feel rejected. And so from our perspective, we just start to come at you. And it's not that we are intentionally trying to push you away. We're actually crying for help.
So how do we help you? Because if we try and help, we get shot down, attacked, shamed. I mean, it gets intense.
The first thing you have to do is learn how to not trigger when we trigger.
Okay.
So you have to be able to stay calm enough to actually see underneath the behavior that is presenting in front of you. In the same way that you want the betrayed spouse not to judge you by the presenting behavior of the infidelity, right?
Yes.
So you want to be understood like an iceberg at a deeper level. You didn't just go out and intentionally harm us, devalue us, and not want to be with us. You want us to believe that.
Okay, yeah, exactly. How do we, because so many times we are told, you meant to do it, you wanted to do it, if you loved me and all this stuff, but it's not necessarily 100% true that we purposely wanted to hurt you.
Right. So the best way to really have something sink in for someone is to flip it around and say, how can I believe that this is true from a different situation? So you know that it's true that not all unfaithfuls just run out and destroy their lives, destroy their partners and their families. So then it makes it easier for you to believe me when I say, well, if you're going to believe this and you want your betrayed spouse to believe this, then you're not going to believe that the betrayed spouse maybe doesn't just run out and do these seemingly destructive, horrible things to you, but that's really not what's going on underneath. You got to be consistent, right?
We have trouble being consistent, but so if I heard you right, you're saying, hey, you want us to be empathetic that you didn't just run out and have an affair or whatever. It's not like you were pursuing it, so you want us to say, you're not trying to lash out, attack, and degrade us. You are dealing with emotional flooding. Your heart beats over 100 beats per minute, and you're losing control of yourself at some level.
You're heartbroken. So When you are working with an unfaithful, we know for the most part, you're out of your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brains that have executive function, that we make decisions that we really want to make. And we're back in our limbic system and our amygdala. We're making decisions out of fight, flight, freeze, different. Okay, so the same thing with the betrayed spouse. So we leave our prefrontal cortex and any logical, rational thought process when we get triggered and we're feeling unwanted, undesired, and then we're back here. You can help by grounding us, by, again, giving that example, saying, listen, like, I know this isn't really you. I know that you're angry, but we have to talk about what's underneath, right? Just like with me, we have to talk about what's underneath. So you have to get close to me if you want me to be able to help you. And you want me to help you because we're trying to overcome this.
And that becomes a problem because we don't want to do that.
Yes.
We're avoidant.
Yes.
We are intimacy avoidant, as you clinicians would say. And so we are scared to death to be vulnerable because then we're vulnerable and it's like you attack us or maybe use it against us. So what are we supposed to do with that?
So I'm going to tell you something and you're not going to be happy about it. But so if you as an unfaithful spouse run or boo-hoo, okay, so
or get enveloped in shame and worry about us, right?
Whatever it is, self-pity. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we feel abandoned as the betrayed spouse again, and we think to ourselves, even if it's not conscious, well, you're asking me to burn for you, but you're not willing to burn for me. So, oh, by the way, you're not really getting better because the reason you had an affair is because you can't tolerate pain in yourself or in somebody else that you love.
At this point, we're going to take, no, I'm just kidding. That was, okay. You might want to, on the YouTube button, hit the 10, you might want to go back 10 seconds and listen to that again because, okay, that's extremely hard hitting. And so then one might understand one of the best things that we could do is be willing to work on us and confront our stuff because then that would probably help you slowly calm down and re-ground is actually better verbiage than calm down, but ground, because we would be able to give you insight and thoughts and vulnerability because we had done work. Is that fair?
Right. Yes, that's correct. So that's what I meant when I said the unfaithful spouse has to work on not triggering and flooding when the betrayed spouse triggers and floods, because then you can't help us. Now, why you might trigger our flood, because I do have some unfaithfuls who come in and they're unfazed by a lot of the areas that the unfaithful can struggle with, the marathoning, the raging, the shaming, the, oh my gosh, 1 minute we're like this and the next minute we're like that.
Right.
Some of them can be unfazed. They can stay grounded. So it's figuring out what makes it harder for some unfaithfuls to stay in that prefrontal lobe and really see their betrayed spouse for what it really is. It's a child crying because they're in pain.
Okay, fantastic insight. Now here's another one. So oftentimes we, the unfaithful, and I don't know that it's this attacking belief system, but we're kind of like, hey, we're doing a ton of work. I'm confronting myself, like I'm trying to find out why I did this. I'm working hard. I'm doing this, but I'm not getting any empathy from you. And then we get really weird because we're like, hey, our affair partner, and I hate to at any level talk about any kind of comparison, but it's just what goes on in the unfaithful. And so we're like, hey, they were empathetic, but I'm not getting much empathy. I'm not getting much work from you. Like, you're not doing work and I'm working hard, but what about you? And then the betrayed kind of goes, oh, really? And the horror music comes on and it's off to the races. But isn't that kind of a valid concern?
Yes, so this is still related to prognosis, which is whether or not the couple has a high chance or a low chance of repairing and building a new relationship. So I was horrible with Rick at the beginning with this because there are two things that come into play with this. Number one is how much of your personality likes to deal with trauma or being slighted by retaliation or revenge.
It's fair.
Okay, so if you're asking me then to develop empathy for you who harmed me, the amount of indignation that can come up for the betrayed spouse, which was very high for me,
It's fair.
then the clinician has to really help them be motivated to even start with, why should I even be asked to have empathy for what you have done to me? And so you have to motivate them. Why? Why do they need to do this?
Well, because there has to be safety though. So here, let's have some dialogue here. We'll do some hard hitting. So there has to be safety. Like, I can't be vulnerable with you and have you just attack me, throw things at me, get physical, or just yell and scream, or just withdraw. How am I supposed to get to the deeper part of me with my person? Now, granted, I've blown that out of the water, but I'm really trying to reconnect with my person.
Right. So, okay, now take personality into consideration. So if that was me, this is why I was Rick's worst nightmare. So I would say to you, I don't have to do anything. You didn't make me safe. Do I really have to do anything? So then Rick would say, do you want to be this person? Do you want to model this to your kids? Do you want to be angry and resentful for the rest of your life at your partner? Do you want to have these feelings about your partner for the rest of the life? Why would you want to be with someone if that's how you feel about them, if that's how you feel about forgiveness? So you bring up other values that the person has that's going to conflict with how they're acting. Then that can soften them, make it more global.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great point. We feel like, okay, you said this, moving the target.
Yes.
So you want me to be here, and then you want me to be here, but when I do this, you're not happy.
Yes.
And then when I do that, you're not happy. And then I'm confused, and then because I'm a control freak, like many of us are, I start to take matters, I get angry, I get upset, I lash out. I may even relapse.
Yep.
So why do the betrayed seemingly consciously or subconsciously move the target?
Okay, so again, the iceberg theory, and this is the value of the unfaithful spouse working with a clinician who can help see what's going on underneath. So if you have done work, you would know, because I would tell you, when the betrayed spouse, when we move the target, we are scared because we're looking for safety. But the truth is, safety is an illusion. So once you go through infidelity or a big major crisis in life like that, like you come out of the matrix. So it's having to say, okay, they're looking for safety, and you have to be the one to say to them, I think you're looking for safety. You're moving the target, and I understand why. I know you're scared. That's my fault. I know you're never really going to feel 100% safe. Thank you for staying with me. But if you keep moving the target, I have to keep chasing you, and then I can't get close to you, and we have the same situation that brought us here, which was we were not connected. Usually, not all situations, but generally. We weren't connected. We lost each other. Like, I need you, so I need you to let me pull you to me and keep you here.
I think that was some of the most helpful verbiage that someone's given in an interview forum to help couples who are trying to ground each other in the middle of chaos. And so, as always, thank you for coming in. If you'd like to reach out to Amanda, you can go to her website, which is healingaffairscounseling.com. You also can fill out a contact form on her website, as well as there's a phone number there. Thank you so much for coming in. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, thank you.